All right, we're going to start section 2.3. This first video is going to be on long division of polynomials, and I will do two other videos, one with synthetic division, and then the remaining video will finish up the section. So the first thing we're going to do is long division with polynomials. So if you remember long division when you were in the 4th grade when you first learned, this is the divisor that will go outside, and the dividend, what you're dividing into, goes inside. Your division bracket, or whatever you want to call this division bar. And then you do a series of dividing, then multiplying, then subtracting, and then bringing down the next term or number. It's really important when you put your dividend in here that you make sure that your polynomial is going in descending order. So x squared, then you should have an x to the first term, and then you should have a constant. If you have a term missing, you have to put a placeholder. This one does not need one, but the next example will, and we'll talk through that when we get to it. So we start the division part. We'll do first term divided by first term. So x squared divided by x is x. And then that's the division, then you multiply what you just wrote up here by the divisor, the whole thing. So x times x is x squared. X times -2 is -2x. And you see how these are lined up like terms. And then I subtract. That's the next step. So x squared minus x squared is no x squareds. Those cancel. 3x minus a -2x, which that means I'm going to be adding 2x. So 3x minus a -2x would be 5x. Then I bring down the next term. Well, the next term is this -10. So minus 10. Then the process starts over. I'll do first term divided by first term. So 5x divided by x is 5. So plus 5. Then I multiply what I just wrote up here by the divisor. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times -2 is -10. Then I'm going to subtract. 5x minus 5x cancels. -10 minus a -10, which means plus 10, would be 0. So I have no remainder. So my answer is just x plus 5. On the next example, you take your divisor, you put it out here, and your dividend goes inside. So 9x to the 4th, you will need a x to the third term. There isn't one, so we'll just put plus 0x to the third. Then we have, the next term would be x squared. We have one, so plus 14x squared. The next term should be an x to the first. There isn't one, so we'll do a placeholder for the x to the first. And then my constant, which is -8. So that's how you set it up. And then I start first term divided by first term. So 9x to the 4th divided by 3x. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. X to the 4th divided by x is x to the 3rd. Once I'm done dividing, remember I go back and multiply. So 3x to the 3rd times this entire quantity. So 3x to the 3rd times 3x is 9x to the 4th. 3x to the 3rd times -2 is -6x to the 3rd. And then I subtract. Nope, look at that. This is a plus. My bad. So this is plus 3x. So 3x cubed times a +2 is positive 6x cubed. Then I subtract 0, these cancel, 0x cubed minus 6x cubed would be a -6x cubed. Bring down the next term, which is plus 14x squared. Then I do first term divided by first term. So -6x cubed divided by 3x is -2x squared. X cubed divided by x is x squared. Then I multiply the -2x squared by this entire quantity. So -6x cubed, -2x squared times 2 is -4 x squared. And then I subtract. A negative 6x cubed minus a negative, that would become plus, so those would cancel. 14x squared minus a negative, that also would become a plus, so that's 18x squared. Then I'm going to bring down the next term, which is my 0x. Then the division starts again. 18x squared divided by 3x. That would be 6x. 6x times 3x plus 2 is 18x squared, plus 6x times 2 is 12x. Then I will subtract. 18x squared minus 18x squared, gone. 0x minus 12x would be negative 12x. I bring down the last term, which is the negative 8, and I divide again. First term divided by first term, so negative 12x divided by 3x is a negative 4. Then I multiply. Negative 4 times 3x plus 2, which is negative 12x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And I subtract. Negative 12x minus a negative, again, that means this positive. Those cancel. Negative 8 minus another negative 8, again, makes that a positive. Those will cancel, so I have a remainder of 0. So my answer is 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 4. My last example. So inside I will have to put an x cubed plus 9x squared. There is no net x to the first, so I need a placeholder. And then my constant, which is minus 5. My divisor, which is 8x squared. Again, there's no x term, so I'll put a placeholder, minus 1. You do not have to put a placeholder for the divisor. You do for the dividend, but you don't have to do it for the divisor. You just have to be very careful that when you multiply and put your terms underneath, that you put like terms where they need to go. So that's up to you. You can do it with the placeholder or not. I'm going to show it with a placeholder. I think it's easier. You're less likely to make a mistake if you put a placeholder here. So we start. First term divided by first term. So x cubed divided by x squared is x. Then I'll take my x and multiply by this entire divisor. So x times x squared is x to the third. X times 0x is 0x squared. So you see how that lines up. And then x times negative 1 is negative x. So all your like terms are lined up. And then you're going to subtract. You have x cubed minus x cubed, gone. 9x squared minus 0x squared is just 9x squared. And then 0x minus a negative x, that would make that positive x, so that would be plus x. And then I bring down the next term. I always make sure that I have the same number of terms here as I have outside here before I start dividing again. So 9x squared divided by x squared is 9, so plus 9. 9 times all of this, so 9 times x squared is 9x squared. 9 times 0x is 0x. And 9 times negative 1 is negative 9. And then I'll subtract. So 9x squared minus 9x squared, gone. X minus 0x is just x. Negative 5 minus a negative 9 would be, that makes that plus 9, would be plus 4. And then at that point I look, first term divided by first term. Well, I have x to the first and I'm trying to divide it by x squared. This has a higher degree, so it can't divide any further. So this whole thing is my remainder. The x plus 4 is my remainder. So there's a couple ways you can write that. You could write that as x plus 9 with the little r like you did in elementary school, x plus 4. That's one way. Or if I don't know if you remember, another way is to always take your remainder and put it over the divisor. So you'll write it as x plus 9. Since this remainder, this x is positive, you'll do plus x plus 4 over the divisor, x squared minus 1. So this is another way to write it. So that is long division. So I will do a video on synthetic division next.